Born on the island of Hawaii in 1922, Toshiko Takaezu made functional wheel-thrown vessels early in her career, but she is best known for her closed vessels that truly elevated ceramics from a craft to an art. Her signature closed-form work resembles human hearts and torsos, closed cylindrical forms, and huge spheres she called moons. Takaezu believed the most sacred part of her work to be the hollow space of air within the vessels, because it cannot be seen, but it is still part of the piece. Like a person, it is what's inside that's most important. Dating back as far as 6000 BCE, the nomadic Fulani are one of the largest and most significant cultures in all of Africa. The Fulani women, who are in charge of building the family shelters, also specialize in the decoration of calabashes and wooden bowls. The women burn abstract and figural motifs into the native calabashes and color them with pigments. In the cow-centered Fulani culture, these bowls are also important objects used to store milk and grains. Margaret Agnes Rope, Marga to friends, was a talented, successful British stained glass designer and painter who drank, smoked, rode her own motorcycle, and who mid-career gave up her independent life to become a Carmelite nun. Marga was born in 1882 into a poor but artistic family. She entered art school at age 20 and studied enameling, lettering, and stained glass. Even as a student, she won scholarships, awards, and commissions. From 1911 until 1923, she lived and worked at London's Glass House and created windows depicting Roman Catholic saints and martyrs. Abruptly, she abandoned her secular life and entered a convent, becoming Sister Margaret of the Mother of God. She continued to design and paint stained glass from her cloister, sending her work to the glass house for cutting, firing, and leading until around 1933, when declining health limited her abilities to continue. Sister Margaret created over 60 windows for churches and monasteries all over the world. Sadako Sasaki was 2 years old when the atomic bomb was dropped near her family's home in Hiroshima. Although thousands around her died, Sadako appeared to escape any injury until at age 12 she was diagnosed with leukemia, the A-bomb disease. She quickly became very ill and was hospitalized. During Sadako's long hospital stay, her best friend visited and told her about the legend of the 1,000 cranes. The story says that if a sick person folds 1,000 cranes, they will soon be well. The two girls immediately began folding paper cranes, and soon Sadako exceeded 1,000. But in the end, the leukemia worsened and she passed away. Sadako's story spread worldwide, and soon over 3,000 schools from 9 different countries raised money to build a memorial to Sadako's honor. The memorial was built 3 years after her death and is known as the Children's Peace Monument. It stands today in Hiroshima Peace Park, close to the spot where the atomic bomb was dropped. In the 1st century AD, glassmaking was a new and mysterious craft. Cynthia Segunda was one of only a handful of artists working in this exciting new medium. Using sand, soda, lime, molds, and a metal blowpipe, Segunda created elegant bottles and stamped her own signature onto them. Some of her trademark bottles were found along the shores of the Danube River, branded with her personal message. Cynthia Segunda made this glassware in Aquileia. We don't know much more about Cynthia, and until recently, historians denied these bottles were created by a woman. Experts now acknowledge that this woman, Cynthia Segunda, did create them, and in fact, Of the 4 Roman glassworkers we now know by name, 2 and likely 3 were women: Sentia Segunda, Ennia Fortuna, and Nicaeus. Shen Shao was a Chinese embroiderer, born in 1874. Shao elevated embroidery from a pastime to a craft that enabled many women of her era to make money. She combined traditional techniques with modern subjects and won international awards for her lifelike embroidery style. Shen Shao's works are considered by many as masterpiece silk embroidery paintings. Born in 1899 in Santa Rosa, California, Elsie Allen elevated Pomo Indian basketry to an art form. But Elsie didn't begin to weave full-time until she was 62, when tribal interest in basketry had declined. Encouraged by her mother, who was also her basket-making mentor, Elsie broke with tradition and began to teach her tribe's unique techniques to anyone interested, including many people who were not Pomo Indians. She caused further controversy by going against her tribe's long tradition of bearing their baskets with deceased relatives. Instead, Elsie kept her incredible baskets. In addition to preserving the Pomo's basketry, Elsie also worked to document and sustain the Pomo language. Born in 1887 in Belgium, Jeanne Toussaint spent her adult life in Paris, where she created exotic jewelry designs for Louis Cartier. Her signature panther design for brooches, rings, and necklaces became emblematic of Cartier jewelry. She also pioneered the use of nearly invisible jewelry frames for precious stones. During the occupation of Paris in 1941, she designed a brooch depicting a nightingale trapped in a cage of gold. This symbol of resistance to the Nazi occupation was displayed in the window of the Cartier store. She was arrested, detained, and questioned by the Gestapo. Legend has it that Coco Chanel arranged Toussaint's release. Defiant and undeterred, she helped move Cartier's customers' jewels to Biarritz for safekeeping until the war was over. In celebration of the war's end, Toussaint created a companion piece to the caged nightingale. In this brooch, the gold cage door is open and the nightingale is about to take flight. Across time and cultures, women have come together in groups to quilt, weave, sew, and spin. Silk spinners of medieval London shared resources to support themselves and their families. In Ireland in the 1760s, Mrs. Johnson and her itinerant group of lamplighters did the same. They made and sold their glassware in and around Dublin. Madame Nora's Lady Bohemian glass blowers created and sold glassware all along the east coast of the United States back in the 1870s. Even today, in Borneo Penim, women work together to weave colorful bags and floor mats, repurposing plastic waste. And every week, Palestinian and Israeli women gather at a workshop in Kafr Manda to share basket weaving techniques. Together they weave peace baskets to use and to sell. Not only do these crafts make money for the women, but the gatherings also create social and cultural bonds that transcend politics. Crafts are often dismissed as simple women's work. They were and continue to be much more. Crafters come together and create community, and at times they also create a currency for change.